Hi everyone, welcome to the next episode of the BECBC Shadowboard podcast. This is a little bit of a different episode today. We're talking to Charlotte, who is coming off the shadowboard, having been on it for the last 4 years. So Charlotte's going to talk us a bit about her experience on the shadowboard, and sort of the things that she's experienced and the connections she's built. So, hi Charlotte. So first of all, do you want to take us through a little bit about who you are and what you're doing now?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Jason. I'm Charlotte Kelly. I have been on the shadow board, like you say, for 4 years now, and I've headed up the theme developing the next generation. My current role is a social value consultant in Arup, but when I first joined the shadow board, I was working for a different cluster member, Morgan Sindel, as an administrator.
Cool. So you joined in 2018 when the shadowboard hadn't existed till then. You were on the very first installment. So when back then, why did you want to apply for the shadowboard when obviously it was a brand new concept, no boots to fill or anything, brand new? What made you want to apply for it?
Yeah, so put myself back 4 years ago. I was 20 years old, working in administration, and I was very much looking for opportunities to develop professionally, personally. I was very keen and had lots of energy, and you know, Morgan Sindel were a fantastic employer, but there was something more that I felt I needed personally for my development. And after looking at a couple of different kind of local groups and networks, I stumbled across the cluster and had a lady who became almost like a mentor, Gillian Johnston. So shout out to Gillian. She recommended that I kind of come along to this shadow board prep session, and it was just a great atmosphere of all these young people in the same room, kind of wanting to make a difference, having that same type of energy. And I just felt like it was a place where things were going to happen. And even though it was new and, it certainly wasn't a concept I was familiar with in terms of a shadow board and what that meant, what I did know is that this was going to be a place where I could develop my skills to the extent that I wanted to develop them.
Oh, good. So obviously it must have been exciting to sort of get involved in that new type of thing. So when you'd actually
Yeah.
applied, do you think that it was what you were, so all that is sort of before you applied, you then got onto it. Do you think to begin with when it was on you, it sort of met that expectation?
Yeah, so I had a bit of a mix in terms of what my expectations were. Like I say, I didn't know what I was getting myself in for at all. Um, the application process was kind of like a presentation, it was quite formal. So I was kind of expecting it to be quite structured and kind of set in terms of vision. But what actually happened was in that first meeting, the main board really set out that we were in control of what the shadow board looked like. They really wanted us to kind of shape the vision as young people, and it really empowered us as early career young professionals to decide what it was that we want as young people being part of the cluster. So yeah, it was really refreshing to be, I mean, I was 20 years old at the time, and to be treated as equal at that kind of table on that kind of platform, it was just fantastic for me.
Great. So building on all that, you're in and you've been doing things the last 4 years. What's been your highlights really from that time?
Yeah, so some of the highlights are just meeting fantastic young people who, like I say, feel like have so much energy. They're so diverse and dynamic, and getting to meet other young professional groups who are trying to kind of make the county a better place, and um, really helping out Cumbria. So that's been a highlight. Getting to work on the developing next generation theme was hugely satisfying for me. I wanted to kind of be the change that I wanted to see. So being able to work on, the development of young people, get some content together, that was definitely a highlight. And I think in terms of events, one of the biggest successes for me was hosting the sustainability session at Global Reach, the BECBC led event
Yeah.
for clusters across the country. So Morgan Sindel was sponsoring the sustainability session, and they thought it appropriate to ask me to host. So getting to deliver an opening address on a literal stage in front of my peers and seniors. It was just an experience that I don't think I've ever forgotten.
And do you think, thanks to the shadow board over that time, I suppose, do you feel like without that, you wouldn't have got those opportunities to be able to do those things?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, employers do everything they can to develop their young people, but I think there needs to be an aspect of, being proactive in seeking those opportunities and the clusters where to do it. We don't operate in the confines of maybe some of the cluster members have to. It can be a lot more free flowing. So yeah, I definitely think being part of the shadow board opened up a lot of doors for me.
So we'd open a lot of doors. So there's all that professional and development stuff. Do you feel like you've seen that as a benefit in terms of, obviously you said at the start you were amongst them, now you're with Arab. So do you feel like being on shadow boards helped you progress in your own career?
Absolutely, without a doubt. So when I was working for Morgan Sindall, I was a commercial administrator with kind of ambitions within social value, community engagement. And Morgan Sindall were fantastic in that they gave me a lot of room to grow in that area on a voluntary basis. However, I wasn't able to kind of turn that into a title, and using the portfolio that I'd built from that volunteering, but also my time and work on the shadow board,
Yeah.
I was actually able to get this position at at Arup as a social value consultant. And essentially what I thought was going to be a 5-year career plan turned into happening within 12 months. So it just really propelled my career. And now I'm having to find kind of new ambitions, which is fantastic
Yeah.
at 25.
I think it's good to hear, and other people good to hear that doing those extra things and giving us those little opportunities to do stuff. And then obviously you've taken hold of it. It's even those transferable skills to be able to do like extra stuff and actually progressing to a job and maybe more of a sector that you actually are really passionate about. And as you say there, you had a plan, a development plan, and you've almost met that now. And now you're looking for your next thing, which I think is probably part of stepping down from the shadow board, because I think it's right to keep changing and keep doing new things. And you've got a lot of experience and a lot of things for the cluster. So it's sort of part of that next step is stepping down, giving someone else the opportunity to come up and progress just like you have. So on that sort of thing, do you have any advice for anybody who is want to apply for the shadow board?
Yeah, so I think my advice for potential applicants is one, try and be resilient. There's a lot of times where you're told no in your early career, so being resilient to that and kind of bouncing back and keeping pursuing what it is that you want to do. I think that's really important. What I also think is really important is recognizing your own skills, and it's very easy for us to overlook what we have to offer. I don't think people in general are very good at blowing their own trumpets, really. So I think it's important for any applicant to take stock of what it is they can offer and really believe that they can make a positive difference to this group, because they absolutely can. There's no doubt in my mind that anyone who wants to get engaged and involved with the shadow board will have a lot to offer.
And I think that leads into a lot of, you're right, a lot of young people, particularly young people, don't know how to talk about themselves. And I think particularly with the shadow board and the membership that it's had, and you'll have seen it right the way through, the different types of people, not just from profession, like their profession, but their like personality that have come on. Not everyone's the same. The shadow board isn't just set up as exactly the same type of people. Anybody from sort of any profession, any type or size of business, and with any personality can apply, and they'll get their own things out of it, and they'll give their own little things. So it's quite good that it's an open forum, and it's been shown really through the people who have been on it, and you'll have seen it the most. But that's really good. So is there anything else you think over the last 4 years that you've
Yeah, so
enjoyed?
I think just on your point there about, having so many different people come through the shadow board, it's been great to make, professional connections, but it's been great to make personal ones as well. And, being able to keep in touch as young professionals now, but I know that, in the future, we will be kind of the business leaders within our organizations and kind of in the professional landscape. And I think being able to have a personal friendship with people is going to be really important when I'm wanting to progress in the future and
Yeah.
make even further connections.
Great. Well, thanks so much for that, Charlotte. I'm sure everyone will find that really interesting, and very good luck for what you do next.
Thank you so much.